Well, hey there. Thanks for being a part of the Christian Media Marketing Show. My name is John. I am the owner and a partner with several great ministries and people who we all have the same heart, which is to make Jesus known, to make him famous, to make him available for those in every tribe, tongue, and nation. And so we are honored to be able to partner with so many different people to help them. We're not the only ones doing it. There's lots of great people and ministries together. And so we're thankful for whatever part we can play in that process. And I am honored to be able to do that with family, with friends, with ministry partners. And I'm just excited to see what God is doing around the world. When it comes to digital, social media, technology, it's an ever-changing landscape. And I'm preparing for a keynote address I'm going to be doing at a conference over in Europe here in about a month, as well as doing a workshop. And in the workshop, I'm going to be giving some examples of technology and tools that we use at Kavanah Media. And so I would like to be able to start to share just a few of those so that I can reference back to some of these episodes, because at the conference, I've only got about 45 minutes, so I'm not going to be able to talk very much about some of these different ones that have become just integral to what we do. Now, if you're listening to the podcast, as always now, we're recording them and the video as well, so you can go to our website, kavanahmedia.com. And then you can see under the podcast, we'll have links to the software that I'm going to be talking about today. We also have different ad resources on there. In fact, that's one of the ones that I'm going to be talking about here in the near future. We have just a ton of different ads in English. We have them in other languages when partners are using them, but we really want to make these known, and we really want to be able to share others. What we're seeing is that hundreds, in fact, it's over 1,000 people each month are coming on just to that one area. I can see what ads are being downloaded or used, and I want to be able to create, in essence, a GitHub area where people can take ads or add ad examples on there as well. Open source, which to me is one of the key principles that is really beginning to drive what it is that we're doing. So I'll talk more about that on another episode here as we flesh them out. But we have a lot of those materials. We also have over 100 different SOPs, what we call standard operating principles for our team of how to do things, so that when people get stuck on something, or if we're onboarding new members on our Kavanah Media team, we know that we're all using the same process, the same checklist. And so I want to continue to think through how we can use those, develop more of those. But if there are certain subjects or things that you would say, I really wish we had, whatever that might be, will you reach out to us, please, and let us know? Because we might be able to develop it and make those available to you and to whomever else is trying to make Jesus famous. All right, this whole idea of open source is really you're going to see this in these next few weeks as I talk about some of these tools and technology, because I have been shaped by that concept. And there's several things that branch out from this that may come into the conversation. And it's really that. It's a conversation. It is a mindset, a philosophy. It is an idea that certain things should be available. And so if you do any training with certain groups that are out there, like Kingdom Training, the Media to Movement group, others, you're going to hear ideas about the heavenly economy, which is just this idea that as you've been blessed, you can bless others. If you have something, you can share that with other people. Now, open source doesn't mean that it is always free in the sense of that there's no cost. There's always a cost somewhere. This is a key thing that I think it's important for us to understand, is that somebody is paying for the software, knowledge, whatever it might be. So even if we give it away, which is awesome, somebody has paid for us to acquire that. Somebody has either donated time or they've donated money, expertise, whatever it might be. So in the ministry world, it could be our donors. It could be people that are giving and they trust the work that you're doing, and so they give money to you so that you can then freely bless other people, or that you can freely share the gospel without having to maybe get a job to support yourself or charge for service that you're doing. That's always a tension point for us at Kavanah Media, is we desire to help everybody, but as a business as mission, we have to be able to pay all sorts of business taxes and all those things we have to do. So how do we manage that? Well, one of the things is we let the philosophy drive the application of what it is that we're doing. So we don't want and desire not to ever have to say, sorry, we can't help you because of finances. Sometimes we may not be the right person to help because we don't have the skill set, or we're not just the right person to do it. But if we are the right person, then we don't want to have to say no because of finances. So for us, being open source is that mindset of we want to try to help and share knowledge. That's why we do this podcast and video show, is to share as much as we can. Same thing with the ad resources, because we have them, they've been used, now we can share openly with other people. And so, yeah, we work through that. We're trying to think through that. We're spinning up different businesses for verification purposes for certain countries and denominations and orgs that we work with. But the biggest thing that we at Kavanah are working on is adding a nonprofit element over everything else that we do. So the nonprofit, that would own our business as missions. It's because of that philosophy, that desire to be a blessing and to share. And as the Lord gives, we want to give that away. And as He gives more, that means we have more to give away. So the key area for us started with this idea of knowledge. And in fact, my oldest son said that knowledge should be free. And it is so much on the internet. There's amazing amounts of courses and material that is free or very low cost. There's one program that I'm going through to get my Python certification, both in data analysis and just in programming. And it's a paid one, but it's extremely valuable. And so I'm more than happy to pay for it and to work through it, even if there's a cost. And yet I'm supplementing it with YouTube videos and other courses that are online that are free. They're just freely available. You can download them. It's an amazing time. But a lot of the information and software that is out there isn't free. It's walled in. And that's why I want to share with you the first piece of technology and software that we use at Kavanah Media, and I am a huge fan of. I know the people that are behind this. I know the people that own it and are working on it. Several of them are people that I trust completely. And so this software itself is being built on these principles of open source, that there's all sorts of information that's out there. Now, there will be a paid part to what I'm going to share with you. And that's very similar to like Linux software. There's times where you can get the software for free. You can do things with it, but if you need help or you need different types of services with it, then there's going to be a cost. And with what I want to share with you, which is called Diode, there is some pricing that's going to come into it. And yet right now, at least for the product that I'm using with that, it's free. And I want to share that with you, because even though there are in Web 2.0 groups like Facebook and Google and talk about Web 3.0 and decentralized, this to me is one of the key areas, which is privacy and security, and you control what you share. Open source doesn't mean I'm not going to lock the doors to my house, or that everything is free and we're just giving everything away. That's not the point here. But it does mean that there are certain things that we are sharing with others. Same thing with just personal security, with your teams, with certain assets, with videos. Some of you who watch this show or listen to this podcast work in some really hard places where there are those who would wish to do evil against you. And so how do we protect you? How do we transfer files? How do we communicate in a way that is trustless? In other words, we're not trusting that Apple or Google or somebody else is always going to do the right thing and the right thing on our behalf. Well, that's where Diode comes into it. So let me share my screen with you. I want to walk you through this software. And this piece of software, you can go to it. It's at diode.io. And Diode is spelled DIODE.io. If you're listening to the podcast, I'll put the link to it in the show notes when you come to our website. Diode has this whole idea. Their big thing is digital sovereignty. You control who has access to your files, and it lets you control who and where these assets, these files are being shared. And so the thing I like about it, a few things here, here's key parts: private file sharing, and the amount of computer needed to do this. It's built to run on a Raspberry Pi or your MacBook or a server or wherever you want to store your files. So with Dropbox, with OneDrive, with other forms of file storage, you're storing those files on their servers. But with this one, with Diode, you are storing it on your own drives, and you're sharing documents, shared drives with people that you know. Now, it's encrypted. It's totally private, so there's no phone numbers or anything else being shared, and it's using blockchain to be able to verify the identity of the people that are sharing it. So it's running on a Web 3.0 platform. So let me show you a little bit about it. We'll look here and go. There's other products they have here. This is a command line interface. This is a whole networking protocol, but we're just going to look at Diode Drive today. And in this one, it allows you to control your documents and your data and then share it with who you want. And so it is a serverless solution, which means you're not storing it on Amazon Web or Microsoft's Azure or whatever. You're storing it on your own drives and the people you trust on their drives. And so everything is being shared end-to-end encryption, and there's chat built into it. I'll show you an example of this in just a little bit. So there's nobody in the middle of this. So it's as it says here, a cloud experience for your files so that you can share with a team. Let's say they're in another country, or maybe it's a team that's going to be running ads for you. You don't feel comfortable running the ads from your location. You could use Diode and transfer the files and the translations, the videos, the pictures, and talk back and forth, and then they could run it from a safer location for you. So this is all how you could be using this. Now, there's a lot to this, all right? Diode has a lot to it, but at its basic core, it is just a peer-to-peer network using blockchain, and that is the unique identity. So peer-to-peer, think old school Napster of sharing music or videos, whatever it might be. But so it's from one computer to another on very low computer needs. It could run on a Raspberry Pi. In fact, it is, even for our team, for some people. It has unique identities. So each person has a specific private and public blockchain key, so there's no information being shared there. And so you choose how you want to share with somebody. You could use Session or Signal and say, here's the key, or here's the invite into this, and then what you see them as is that whole blockchain name there. You can set up different types of zones, what they call sovereignty zones. and people can be in one or more of those. And so this is all happening, whether it's, as it says here, a file or even a website, through blockchain encryption secure types of ways of doing it. So there's a lot more to this, and you can look on their website. They have a lot of videos. They have a lot of documents that you can see there. So that's all information that's there. If you click here under pricing, you'll see here's the Diode drive, and here is the Nomad, and it's $0 a month. Peer-to-peer file sharing, peer-to-peer chat, unlimited storage, because you're storing it on one or multiple computers or drives, and it allows you to have up to 5 team members in a certain drive. If you need more than that, maybe for your whole org, you can look through here, and there's freelancer and business levels, and that's where they begin to store, which provides for them to be able to create the software. And I love it. I just love what they're doing there. So I would encourage you to go check it out. Diode, DIODE.io. Now, let me share an example of what this even just looks like, and so how we use it ourselves in our standard practice. So let me see if I can find it here. Let's bring it up, and there it is. Let me drag it over just a little bit here. All right, so this is an example of Diode drive that is running on my computer right now. Now, what's interesting is that I also have this set up on my cell phone. So there is an iPhone, an Apple, and an Android version of this app. So as I show you here what's happening, this is a cool way where you could do very secure, completely trustless, secure chat with other people by being able to just bring their information in through their public and private keys, and then you could chat back and forth with them. That's what we're doing here. So this is Diode drive, and we have certain zones set up. We have files set up. It's just a folder on this computer, and that folder is then shared with those who are in a certain zone. So in this one, I have some other ones set up that's not in this demo here, so you're not going to see those over here, but I could easily add a zone to it, give it a name to it, super secret zone, whatever, pictures of plants in our garden, whatever you want to put. You could call that zone, and then you would just hit create, and then you can invite people to it. But in this one right here, I've got Alan in it, and it is a way for he and I to share. So here we are talking, chatting, end-to-end encrypted back and forth. Hey, are you seeing this file? Yes, I am. We're sharing some different numbers to our Facebook business account there. So all sorts of stuff. Here's one. Put the label pictures in the folder called Messaging Add Assets. All right, and so Alan and I, you can see right now the green dot. It means he's online, which I know this because he's working with a different team right now as I record this. So I don't want to send him a message down here, but I could. I can type to him, he would get it on his computer, and he could type back to me. And so this is a way for us to share files completely secure, and we can communicate about those files or whatever we want back and forth in a secure way as well. All right, so that's Diode. That is just one of several tools that I am going to be demoing for you all here in the next 2 to 3 weeks or so, and then talking about at the conference that I'm going to be at over in Europe here in just a little over a month. But these are ones that we use. These are ones that we trust, that we have been using in our application of serving different people around the world. You may have some software that you love, ones that you have found. Maybe it's cheap, maybe it's free, maybe there's a cost, I don't know. But the one I'm going to share next week with you, Lord willing, there's a cost to it, but I believe in it. That's what we're going to do, is we're going to try to share as much as possible about tools and technology that for us are really changing how we do ministry and business. So hopefully this is a benefit to you. If you have ideas, send them to us, will you? If you have questions, send those to us as well. You can contact us on our website there, Kavanah Media, Or go to Twitter. That's a place where I am spending more and more time just reading, researching, just really trying to use that as a base of communicating. We put out articles and lots of other information from our Kavanah Media Twitter account. And as you're seeing here on the screen, subscribe. If you're watching this video, will you subscribe to it? Will you share it? Will you give us a good review? Same thing with the podcast. Those things matter. Those help us. Those encourage us. I got a message yesterday just from somebody who was saying that when we shared about how to create the videos and put the time so you can start and stop at a certain point, that it was a tremendous benefit to them. Now, that's encouraging. That's what we want, is to be able to help you in whatever way is possible. So thank you for listening or watching or both. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing about this. And I'll just keep sharing with you all what we're learning, mistakes we're making, discoveries we are discovering, whatever we can do together to make Jesus known and to make him famous. That's what I want to do, and I know that's what you want to do as well. So until next time, take care and God bless.